Are we there? Yes, we are live. Good evening. This is Andre from Overcoming the Odds down here in Jacksonville, Florida, and you are in for a special treat. We are so honored to have our special guest here, all the way out from southeast Idaho. I'm spoiled. I've been listening to his morning mindset call the last couple of years, but I'm not going to keep on running my mouth anymore about him. We're going to introduce the rest of our panel before we get to our special guest. So let's go out there to New Mexico.
Hey guys, this is Aaron Martinez from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just enjoying the usual Friday hangout. Like we're all here every Friday, and yeah, just what Andre was saying. Our guest is an awesome dude, and I've had the privilege to be mentored, and I had grown a friendship with this guy. So you're in for something really special today. So just stay along for the ride, and you'll enjoy it.
Hey everyone, my name's Neil. I'm currently residing in the UK. It is 11 p.m. my time, but you know, this is what we love about the internet. It's 24 hours a day. And yeah, as everyone's mentioned, we're with a special guest, one of our mentors. His name's Paul, and yeah, stay tuned because you are in for a treat.
No pressure, right, guys? Holy smokes. I'm really getting nervous now. Just kidding.
And Ian, you're next.
Oh yeah, yeah, Ian from the UK as well, Preston. If I just do a brief intro and take a little bit of the pressure off Paul, but yeah, I remember we're talking about mindset, and you probably been hearing a lot about the stories of really persisting towards your goals and getting to where you want to get to in life. And I remember last year, it was this time of the year where I was like coming. I was trying to get friggin' internet. I really got started online to get, I wanted to be able to sustain myself. I wanted to be able to live that life on my own terms. We talk about it all the time, why you get started with anything. And, talking about that persistence, that mindset shift of, the things that what you're willing to go to really to get after your dreams, to go after your vision. And I'm sure this will no doubt come up. Talking about persistence over the next hour or so, how long we go for. So, yeah, cool.
Yes.
Patricia.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Patricia Henry from the high desert of California. I live in Victorville, California. And I'm just praying that my internet does not go down because we're having a little bit of high winds and storm. But I am so excited about our special guest who I'm going to introduce here. I know that he's a family man. He is very humble, but he's electric, and he's exciting. And every time he speaks, I listen to him. I know I want to get up and do something. I got to take action. He has a 9, a 7, a 5, and a 3-year-old, all boys. So I guess that's where he gets his energy from. Just plug into his family, I'm sure, and you'll be a part of it. That's how I feel about this man who, when I listen to him, I feel like I'm a part of his family and a part of his life. I've seen him on stage. I've seen him, just electrify an audience and motivate them to do what they do in our business. So, Paul, why don't you come out and tell them your story? Now, I know for a fact I've heard it before, but our audience who hasn't, stay close to this hangout. Turn up your volume and listen to this man. He inspired me.
Well, guys, I got to tell you that I'm grateful to be here, and you guys inspire me. As I look at each of you and just see what you're doing, you're here on this hangout, you're, coming together as entrepreneurs. There's a great quote, actually, you guys remind me of. I think it was Margaret Mead. She said, "Never doubt that a group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And whenever I get around a group of people like you guys that are, you guys are unifying to do the best that you can to change the world, to change your worlds, and to change the worlds of the people who come in contact with you. And it just inspires me. So I just wanted to let you guys know that you inspire me, and then also to the viewers on the Hangout, you inspire me too. Even though I may not have met you yet, the fact that you would tune into something like this where you're getting yourself around people who are like on an upward trend, right? Who have dreams and goals and hopes for a better future. That says a lot about the type of person you are. So although I haven't met you maybe, you inspire me too. And I just want to applaud you for being here on this webinar tonight. I always remember Jim Rohn, he said, if you want to have a great life, he said a great piece of advice is to walk away from the 97%. Step into the 3%. People who get on hangouts like this, they're not the 97%. Most people out there, watching TV or just doing normal day-to-day stuff, which is fine. But if you're here, I think that means that you're different, you're unique, you're special. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm grateful for all of the nice things you guys said about me. Patricia, you said that I'm humble, and I appreciate that. I just, when I think of myself, I feel like I'm just a regular guy. Like I grew up in Southeast Idaho, single parent home. When I was 8 years old, my dad left my family. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending upon how you choose to look at that. One of my favorite teachings from Napoleon Hill that we talk about a lot is that in every apparent setback lies the seed of an equal or greater advantage. And at the time when my dad left, it was a big setback, and it was a hardship. I remember, growing up without a dad and thinking, this is tough. Like I would go to different events where other kids were at, and they would all have their dads, and I wouldn't have a dad, and it was tough. However, when I look back on that experience now, I realized that setback really was an asset for me because I had to do things that I wouldn't have had to do had that not happened. My mom was hearing impaired, so when my dad left, I was the one that had to answer the phone and talk to the bill collectors and relay messages back and forth for my mom and the bill collectors. So in any case, I grew in that experience, and that's, I think that's a great lesson that we can all learn as we're going through the things that we're going through in life. I truly do believe that life happens for us. It doesn't happen to us. And that everything that we go through is really meant to teach us something so that we can grow from it, so that we can benefit from it. So in any case, that was my experience as a kid. And while I was growing up, everyone said, if you want to have a happy, successful life, there's a few things you need to do. Number one, you need to go to school. Number two, you need to get a great job at a great company. And number three, you live happily ever after. And I didn't know any better, so I was like, okay, so I'm listening to my teachers, trying to pay attention as a kid, so I can, because who doesn't want to live happily ever after, right? So I get out of high school and I go to college, and I go in debt $40,000 to go to business school. And I'm literally thinking that when I get out of this place, I'm going to have the world by the horns. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to have this degree. Watch out, world. Like, I'm going to light it up. And I get out of college, and I went to school down in Phoenix. I literally could not find a job. And I was like, hold on here. This is not what they told me that it was going to be like. Because I remember the college recruiter coming to my house telling me about this great school, and he's like, yeah, when you get done, you're going to be lined up $40,000 to $60,000 a year jobs and stuff. So I graduate, and there's nothing. And I'm like, what do I do? So I come back to Idaho, and the best job I can find is a job making $11.09 an hour in a call center. And I was a little bit frustrated with that. I was like, seriously? Like, I just went to school for 4 years, and I went in debt, and, like, this is the best that I can do? I was like, wow, it's kind of like a wake-up call, But nonetheless, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do the best that I can and, make the best of the situation. So I remember just trying to do the best that I could. Like, I would show up early. I would try to have a smile on my face. I would try to serve the customers on the phone the best that I could, and so in my perception, I was doing a really good job. But what I saw happening around me, like this company that I was at, they had this management trainee program, And basically what that was is when you were a management trainee, you got like this much higher salary, and you just came in like giving directions to all the other employees. So like here I am at this company, and I'm working like hard, and it's like 6 months, a year, year and a half, and I think I'm doing a really good job. And all around me, like these management trainees, they get recruited out of college. So they were getting recruited out of college to come in and be placed over me to give me directions, and then they would get promoted out of the department past me because that was part of the deal as a management trainee. And I was like, wow, like what's going on here, you know? And I remember we kind of complained about it because we're like, hey, listen, you know, we're existing employees and we're all working really hard and we're producing great results. Shouldn't we have an opportunity to be promoted? So they were like, yeah, okay, well, we'll let you apply for the management trainee position. So I applied for it, and I remember going into the interview, and it was the owner of the company's son was my boss. And I remember going into his office, and he interviewed me for like an hour, and, you know, through the course of the interview, he's like, you know, asking me questions like, what are your weaknesses and what are your strengths? And I remember telling him that one of my strengths was I said, well, I think I've got passion. You know, I show up to work, I got a smile on my face, I'm doing the best that I can. And anyway, we get to the end of the interview, and he says, and I'm kind of like hopeful, right? I'm like, did I get the job? Did he like my answers? And he says, Paul, first of all, you don't get the promotion. And I was like, ah. And he's like, and secondly, are you open to some feedback? And I said, sure. And he points his finger at me and he says, you don't have passion. The one thing that I told him that I thought I was good at, and he points his finger at me and says, no, you're not good at it. And I remember my heart sinking down into my stomach, and I was just like, you know, is this really what I have to look forward to the rest of my life? You know, I'm doing the best that I can, trying to provide for my family, and just it didn't seem like the corporate track was what I wanted to do. It felt like I was in this little box, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get out. So I started looking for other options because I had a problem, right? I was like, this job is a problem. I do not want to have this job. I want to do something different. So that's how I got introduced to network marketing. And I was like, okay, here's a solution, network marketing. Yes, you know, like, yes, I'm gonna be free, and I'm gonna quit my job, and it's gonna be happily ever after. And what ended up happening was my first year in network marketing, I worked for 12 months. I passed out flyers. I called my friends and family. I did meetings. I did all kinds of stuff. And after 12 months, I had made $0. The next 4 years, I bounced around from company to company, still trying to make it work. But after 5 years in network marketing, the best I could say I had done was a few $100s here and there. In fact, this leads me to the part of my story that I think maybe you guys have heard a lot, and that is I was in the latter part of 2009, I was living in this 1984 single-wide trailer house, and it was after 5 years of network marketing. I had quit my job at this point because I was like trying to figure out, like, why am I not getting it? Like, what's the missing piece here? And I thought, well, maybe it's my job. Maybe my job's holding me back. Like, maybe if I go full time, you know, it'll fix this thing of me not succeeding. And so my wife, she's always been really supportive, and she said, you know, go ahead. We've got some savings. We're living in a trailer because we were living in a trailer. And she said, so we don't have like a big mortgage. She says, let's do it. Quit your job and go for it. So I quit my job. And I was working in this network marketing company at the time, and I'd actually built my income in that company up to about, I think, $800 a month or something like that. So I quit my job, and what happened was over the next 6 months, my income that was $800 a month dropped down to about $200 or $300 a month. So my income actually went down. Not what you would expect to happen, right? To go full-time. Went from part-time to full-time, and my income went down. So there I was living in this trailer house in 2009, and my income was going down. Things were not looking good. My third son had just been born in December of 2009. His name's Kyson. He's 5 now. But he was just born in December of 2009, and he was born with a condition called craniosynostosis, which means the bones in his head are fused together. And I remember one day my wife coming home from the doctor, and she was just in tears because she had just found out that our newborn baby, had this condition, and it was going to require a $50,000 surgery. So there I am, living in a trailer after 5 years of failing in network marketing, son that has to have a $50,000 surgery, and I literally don't know what to do. And it all came to a head when I was putting two of my other boys to bed one night in the back room of this single-wide trailer house. They were both sleeping on the bottom bunk of this bunk bed, because in trailer houses you don't have a lot of room, so they had to share a room, and we had storage like on the top bunk. So my two little guys are sleeping on the bottom bunk, one on one side and the other on the other. And I remember reading them their bedtime stories and watching them drift off to sleep, and I just sat there, and I think my wife was in the other room doing something, but I just sat there and looked at those two little kids, and I started to cry because my plan wasn't working. After 5 years of trying to make money from home and be free, my plan wasn't working, and I was looking at these two little kids just thinking about how I was failing them, as a father, and I didn't know what to do. So I knelt down and I prayed, and I remember the prayer basically was like, tears streaming down my face, and it was like, God, if you're there, please help me find a way out of my situation. I'm humble, and I need some help. And what happened from that prayer are two breakthroughs that I always like to share, because these were very specific things. I think they were an answer to prayer. That's my perception. The first one was I got this very distinct impression that I needed to begin a serious study of the book Think and Grow Rich, which I had read probably once or twice at least. When I first got in network marketing, the company said, here's these books that you should read, and Think and Grow Rich was on one of them. But after this prayer, I had this impression that I needed to not just read it, but I needed to study the book and actually do what the book taught me to do and fold down the corners anytime there was an action step. There's a great quote from Francis Bacon where he said something to the effect of, some books are to be tasted, I'm going to butcher this quote, but it's like, some books are to be tasted, other books are to be nibbled, and some rare few books are to be chewed up and digested. Something like that. And so I had this impression that I needed to chew up this book and I needed to digest it. So I started studying that book, and then the other thing that happened was I was introduced to online marketing. I was actually on the internet one day looking for a better way to build my business, and I was introduced to the idea of connecting with people through the internet. So armed with a copy of Think and Grow Rich and armed with this amazing tool that we have called the internet, I started to turn things around. I would follow what this book was teaching. I started to develop faith, and I was applying that faith to online marketing and lead generation. And long story short, within several months, I hit my goal that I'd had for 5 years, which was $3,000 a month. That's all I wanted, because $3,000 a month meant that I wouldn't have to have a job. So I hit that goal, and then it just kind of continued to go up from there. Now I'm blessed to say that my family, we moved out of the trailer. We call it our dream home. It's not like a mansion. I call it a dream home, and I got to be careful because sometimes people might think that, like you live in some Beverly Hills mansion. Our dream home, we just wanted a place that was out in the country, that our kids could play. We wanted a place that had plenty of room. We wanted a place that was comfortable, and we wanted a place that we did not have a mortgage on. That was part of our dream, because we didn't want to be tied to the bank. We didn't want anyone pulling strings over our life. And so thanks to network marketing and thanks to this business that all of you guys are in, and that we're here on this hangout maybe sharing with whoever's watching, we were able to pay off the mortgage and move into this place out in the country. It's got like a quarter-mile long driveway off the main road, no close neighbors, got this view out the back. I get up in the morning, like this morning I got up and it was frosty, and I had to soak in the hot tub, and I could see the sun coming up. It's just like, it's literally like my dream my dream home, my dream lifestyle, and it's all thanks to this business and great people like, you know, all these folks on the Hangout and this business model. So that's my story. Thanks for letting me share it.
Patricia, you're muted.
I don't know who I'm supposed to pass it back to. Patricia?
It's powerful. Sorry, I had myself on mute. I was sniffling. Every time you tell that story, I get emotional, you know, because what father doesn't want to take care of their family? I mean, a true man, a father, that's what they want to do. And you have your little ones depending on you. So, you know, I happen to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So, you know, I understand the fact that our men are the ones that take the lead, and when you don't have that in your life, how do you feel? You know, God has given you a God-given role, and to me, every time I listen to your story, I just say you fulfill that wonderfully. That's why I said you're so humble, even when you talk about your home. You know, yeah, I live in the high desert, and our houses are far apart, and I've got a lot of land. We live on a half acre and all that, but you know, the bank still kind of owns this. So my dream is to retire my husband and then to pay off this mortgage. So that's what I'm going to do. And then, you know, we do have some income property that's going to be paid off in a couple of months. But, you know, I love this business because it affords us that freedom of lifestyle that we can choose for our families.
Yeah. It's priceless.
Yes. So let's start with Aaron, or whoever wants to go ahead and start and ask Paul a question. We know we have captured him for a little bit of time here, and they want to ask you a question, Paul. So whoever wants to go next.
Okay, yeah, I'll go. Paul, I sent you some questions just to give you a heads up earlier, but the main one that I want to get to, that way everybody has a chance to ask what they're wanting to ask you is, if you were to get started all over again in this business, doing what you're doing and knowing what you know now, what advice would you have for somebody that's just starting out, or what would you do differently to achieve the results that you've achieved that much quicker?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad that you prepped me because I wrote some notes down so I would have a good answer for you. I actually wrote down several things. So the first one was I would get online ASAP, so that wouldn't be different. So maybe that doesn't answer your question, but I would get online now, right? Like versus the alternative route of just trying to do it like some people are, you know, just, you know, belly to belly. I mean, not that that's bad, but the internet is so powerful. So I would definitely get online fast. I would start using Facebook as soon as possible while I was learning other strategies. So like my story, when I first got online, it took me about 3 months to generate my first lead, and then another 6 months before I was getting commissions from the leads that I had generated. So that's kind of like a long time to start to get a commission. And what I know now with Facebook is you literally can start connecting with people now on Facebook. So while you're learning the lead generation and stuff, I would definitely be utilizing Facebook right now for at least a little bit of my day every day. I would master one traffic strategy. I would do that. I would definitely, because I've bounced around, probably like a lot of us, from like, what traffic strategy am I going to do? Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like back and forth, back and forth. So I would learn to master one thing, and then the last one that I would do is I would learn to be entertaining. This is something that I'm learning now. Like I'm not entertaining. I am not as entertaining as I want to be. But as I study marketing, and as I study, like I'm reading a book right now by Russell Brunson called .com Secrets. And in that book, he talks about how he made this huge discovery in his email follow-up, which was he calls it the daily Seinfeld emails, and he calls them Seinfeld emails because Seinfeld was a show about nothing, and people liked it because it was entertaining. And he said, I figured out that like my subscribers, they don't really want like lots of content. They want to be entertained. So he started sending out these daily Seinfeld emails that were entertaining, and he said it just did wonders for his business, right? So there's that. And then I was reading about this guy. He's called the Newsletter Guru, who just built a bit. He's like in the Inc. 5,000 list of fastest growing small companies, and he said the same thing. He said people want to be entertained. And then you study people like Dan Kennedy. You know, he's funny. Like that's what like people want to be entertained. So I would really strive hard, had I to do this all over again, to learn how to be funny and entertaining, because I think that would go a long way. So those are a few answers.
Those are good tips, Paul, and I'll definitely have to revisit the .com Secrets book again. I do have that book, as well as another one by Russell Brunson, and I follow him quite a bit. So I'll definitely have to revisit that. So good words of advice there. So I'll pass it on to whoever wants to ask you the next question.
Paul, once again, appreciate your story. I just got I'll never get tired of hearing your story. I don't care. I don't care how many times I've heard it, and I don't care how many times in the future I hear it. It always does truly move me. And again, we just appreciate you for being on here in this hangout. But I have one simple question, and I got to ask, since you're also the captain of the Think and Grow Rich call, how many times have you read the book Think and Grow Rich? That's been like for the last 2 years.
I honestly don't know. I think that we probably go through that book at least 3 times a year on the call. So I've been doing the call now for over 5 years. So if you take 5 times 3, at least 15. So probably at least 15, maybe more.
That is awesome. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, too, obviously results not typical. See average earnings below. Well, this is a person who's made $500,000 within our company too, and because the principles that he was talking about earlier from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and the Law of Success, which, oh, by the way, we're on right now to the call. So that's all I had to ask, Paul. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks, Andre.
I just have one quick question, Paul. Again, I really, really do appreciate you coming out here. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that, I live in the UK, and in October, I actually travelled to the US. It took me over 32 hours to get there, and it was people like Paul that I got there for. I travelled 32 hours just to meet people like Paul, because he is one of the people you need to meet and just to see, because he really, really is. He's just an inspiring person to actually just be around and to learn from. So, just make sure that you follow Paul. Get on that Think and Grow Rich call, because it is absolutely amazing. My question to you, Paul, is when you was mentioning about the things that you was going through about you was at $800, and then you went full time, and your income kind of dwindled, even though you was putting more time into it, and you had the problem, obviously, the overcoming the problem that you had with your child, which automatically you kind of want to get there as quickly as you can. But when you're coming up against these kind of problems, and you realise that your business is actually dwindling, how is it? What can you actually put anything? Can you say there was something that you really focused on that helped you get past it? Because a lot of people at this point would have probably given up and just think, you know what, it's not working, I need to do something else. And there was something that obviously drew you to just keep going and see that you was going to make it, and just see the light. And is there anything that you could perhaps tell people that maybe, I don't know if there's one specific thing, or if there's something that kind of made you think this is what I need to do? Or
so is your question like, was there a strategy, or was it like more like what drove me to keep going?
Yeah, it was kind of what was it that driven you to keep going? I mean, can you put it down to, was it a mindset thing that you needed to work on, or was it a strategy that you knew you kind of, how did you overcome that one problem that you had where you wasn't getting the success you wanted, even in spite of how much effort you was trying? A lot of people at this point would have probably thought, you know what, this is not for me, I'm not going to do it, and I'm just going to give up. And what is it that kind of made you think, I'm going to keep going because I know I'm going to get there? And I'm sure it comes down to belief, but is this something, something that, these people are probably just not aware of?
Yeah, I think there's 2 things. The first thing was, for 5 years I had been doing I'd been doing one thing, and that was, calling my friends, asking for referrals, getting their lists, calling their lists, so I guess here's the point. For 5 years I had been doing one thing, and that led me to a certain spot where I wasn't seeing the success that I wanted to have. So when I offered that prayer and I decided to do things differently, I found the internet and I realized that there were different ways to build my business. So just changing my strategy, that gave me hope. Knowing that there was a different way to build my business than the way that I had been doing it, I think that was a big part of it, because I just saw a lot of hope in, being able to do it differently. That was number one. And then number two was, in that book, Think and Grow Rich, one of the action steps is that, you every morning and every night you state your definite purpose and your vision and your self-confidence formula. And I was doing that religiously as soon as that book inspired me to do it. And I would walk up and down my driveway, still living in the trailer, still not having the success that I wanted to have. But as I followed those instructions to a T, for some reason, I literally started to have this faith just saturate my soul to where I could see that I was going to be successful, and I could see the money, and I knew it. And I never experienced that before. I never experienced that before. All my first five years in home business, it was all about, I hope this works. I pray it works. Is it going to work? I don't know. I hope so. I'm going to try it. Oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. And there was that lack of, no, this will work. This is going to work. I know this is working now. And so that feeling that I got came from following the instructions in that book. And it's like you said, it boils down to belief, right? We talk about it all the time, but it's hard to describe. It's like Napoleon Hill says, trying to describe faith to someone who hasn't experienced it is like trying to explain what the color of red looks like to a blind man. It's really, really hard to describe. The best definition I think I've ever heard is Jim Rohn, or one of the best descriptions. He said faith, it's like radiation. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, because like radiation, but you can't deny that it's real, because it has an effect, like radiation. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, but it has an effect. And faith is like that. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, but the effect that it has is everything. It spills over into the way you speak, into your prospects, into everything that you do. And I guess that would be the big number two. Does that answer your question?
That was absolutely, that was brilliant answer. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, if you come to me next, I just wanted to ask, or if you had any sort of daily habits and routines and things that you do that you would recommend for people, or that person that might just be, they're doing everything they possibly can in their life. They might not be, aware of some things yet, but they're just feeling, they're just so stuck where they are right now, and it's like, I'm just wondering if you had any recommendations of habits or the useful routines that you found useful through the process that you've been going through.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Reading is definitely one. Read every day, audios every day, get around people like this as much as possible. And then also for the business, build the business every day. Connect with people every day. I've been connecting with people every day, I think, for, oh my gosh, 10 years and years and years now. Just connecting with people and building my business. So I'm getting a little feedback, a little bit of an echo. If you believe in God, I would say pray too. I would say pray. That for me, I don't think there's anything more powerful for me than to feel like that I'm getting help from God. So that's been a big power for me.
Hi, I took myself off mute. I'm the one that's usually echoing somehow, but I've been on mute the whole time, so it wasn't me. Yeah. let's see. I'm going to read a scripture. It's not a religious call at all, but at Hebrews, and I know those of you guys that know the Bible, faith is the assured expectation of what is hoped for, the evident demonstration of realities that are not seen. So if there's an evident demonstration of something, like we know there's the wind, right? We can't say that it's not around because we feel it, we see the effects of it and everything. But when we have that faith and we pray to God, we know without a doubt if we're doing the things that He's approving of us doing, that He will no doubt answer it. And I know that all of us probably have struggled in this business and getting in. It's because it's a huge learning curve. And for some of us that maybe we get people into it, into the business, no matter what business it is online, they get a little frustrated because they don't have that faith. They don't have that evident demonstration that it's going to work for them. So to make a long story short, I'm sure we've all been there. We've been depressed about it, or we want to give up about the business. What kept you going again? I know that you have your why, and it's your children. So is that that's your motivating force, and then helping others, or what is your
and then just the whole idea of freedom. I don't think I'm unique in that. I think that, like Napoleon Hill in one of his last books, he talks about the great motivating factors in people. There's like 5 or 6 motivating things, and one of them is freedom. That's common to all people. So just this idea that I could be free, that I could be free, that I could own my time, that I could, work when I wanted to, that I could be with my kids and my wife when I wanted to. That idea continues to drive me and has driven me for a long time. Freedom. Freedom. If there's something that's worth fighting for, freedom is right there at the top of the list, right? So
that's true. That's true. Well, Paul, we thank you so much for being here, and for our guests that are here. We do have that wonderful book that you always talk about, as a download, as a free gift to people who want to sign up with any one of us, including Paul. Paul, you don't have your little icon up about your name there like we all do, but do you have a website that you want people to know about where they can go, or your information? I can also put it in the comments or whatever after this, so that people could get into contact with you.
I guess that I would just share that resource for the morning call. It's growrichaudios.com if there's anyone that wants to plug into what we do there. I think it can be a real blessing for your life. So.
All right. Anyone else want to say anything?
I'd just like to thank Paul for coming out here again. It was, like I say, it's been absolutely amazing having you, and you want to. So thank you very much for coming out.
Thanks, Neil.
I'd like to say something too. Paul, once again, thank you for being on our hangout today. It's a little bit of a different role reversal. You're usually the one hosting, so it's cool to see you from this side of things. And I just want to let everybody know that when I first started in this business, that I was pretty introverted, and I kind of wanted to do it from behind the scenes. And what this has done for me is allow me to grow into the type of leader that Paul has demonstrated. People like Paul and others that I've found to be good mentors and good resources. It's helped inspire me to step up my game and come out of my shell and put myself out there, so that I no longer really want to even be somebody behind the scenes anymore. I actually want to be at the forefront of it, and I'm so happy to be amongst all of you guys, all the panel here, and just once again, Paul, thank you for being one of those inspiring people for me. So thank you.
Well, right back at you, Aaron, and I think that's interesting that you say that you were kind of like introverted, because I still remember the video in my news feed of you like setting your phone up on your entertainment center and then backing up and just like busting a move for like 4 minutes straight. I was like, that's so funny. There was no fear there at all. So it's fun to watch you. It's fun to watch you you grow and let your light shine, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Ian or
Yeah, I can say the exact same as what Aaron said as well, being that shy, introverted like guy. Because like, yeah, I don't know. I can't say for myself how much less or more introverted I was than Aaron, but you know, I was that guy at school who you know, recluded himself away from other people and felt like, you know, the outsider person. And then when I left school at 16 to work on the farm or whatever, I left contact with, you know, everyone other than the people in my family for 4 years before I got sick and tired of it and you know, just, you know, knew that there must be something more out there than me, you know, just working for just about myself and trying to just about scrape by and always, you know, looking up to my dad to please him, seemingly. I knew there must be something more out there. And, you know, since getting online, you know, getting out of that comfort zone enough to be able to, you know, share my story and share a message and realizing that, you know, we have a higher purpose here, and that's, you know, to inspire people for freedom and you know, to live that life they truly want to live. And that's, you know, thanks to, you know, inspiring people like you. You know, I've been on your calls as well, you know, and last year when you know, first getting started, and it really helped as well, you know, so I appreciate that. Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and again, Paul, I really do appreciate you, because I know here the last couple of years, when I started listening to the morning mindset call, I've been playing semi-pro football the last few years here in Florida, and it really helped my mind as far as being better on the football field, American football, for those that are watching other parts of the world. But anyway, too, it helped me win 2 championships with the team I'm playing with right now. So those those principles that we've been sharing too, they work more so also too outside of business than in business. So just wanted to just mention that, and again, appreciate you for what you've been doing, though, Paul.
My pleasure.
To give you a little bit of background about me, I used to be a fashion designer. I have retired from that about 8 years ago, not in the industry anymore. I've done various things since, and I love this online business to have that freedom. That's the, you know, the thing that I want. And your Law of Success book that you're reading, this morning I was on it, and you're talking about Carnegie, and one thing I liked about the mastermind of men, you know, how they get together and they coordinate their efforts and the spirit of harmony and cooperation together. And that's kind of what we have done, because all of us met at our events and we formulated this hangout that we have now. And I'm sure that's how a lot of partnerships in the end have gotten started, either whatever ventures they went off into. So this is a powerful platform to come together on this Google platform, and I'm very honored, like I said, to have you. And it was bold of me coming out of my comfort zone to ask a leader to be on our hangout, you know. And I really appreciate the fact that you came and you honored us.
Well, I appreciate that, and I admire you stepping out of your comfort zone and being bold. That's awesome. That's so cool, Patricia.
I said I have to take my energy to the next level, like you. I don't want to be somber anymore. I want to attract people to what I do.
Yep. As we all do.
Well, thank you, Paul. We're grateful. And Andre, you want to close it out then? Or Paul, you have any last parting words, and then we're done.
Just, you know, I would just say to whoever's watching that you are important, you are special. You know, I believe that you've got a purpose on this planet, and always remember that. You know, always remember that you're special, and you've got great things to do. And these people here on this panel, they're amazing. They're fun, and they will love and believe in you and support you. So I would just encourage you to, you know, if you want something better for your life, if you want freedom, if you want to be aligned with a group of people who believe in freedom, and not just believe in freedom, but believe it in enough that they're willing to take action. and do things like organize a hangout on Friday where they get on a hangout, and deliver empowering and inspiring messages. If you like freedom, if you love freedom, I would just encourage you to get started with. As I don't know if there's a button on this page or if they just need to get back with you guys. Button below. Okay, there's a button below. Just get started. There's a 100% money back guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
There you go. Andre, we'll let you take it away.
Again, really do appreciate you being on here tonight, Paul, and we appreciate you for watching as well. Love to read your comments below. So comment below if you got tremendous value from what Paul shared this evening. And that being said, we will see you same time, same place next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, or out there in the West Coast, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or out there in the UK, 11 p.m. their time. I don't know the exact time zone. So, with that being said, we will see you guys next week. Love you guys.
Bye, guys.